What if I crash? What if I pass out? What if I get stuck in traffic? Yeah, it was just me thinking that something bad was gonna happen, but it wasn't. You know, online, it would say so much, and I would follow everything to the beat, and it wasn't working for me. So I was like, am I different? What am I doing wrong? Everything that I did to make myself feel better made me feel worse, if that makes any sense. I came across a video on Facebook that you posted. I was like, oh my gosh, he's in my brain. That's how I feel.
I love that.
And I didn't have any doubts that it would work. I knew that it was exactly what I needed, so I just went for it. We can't really get rid of our feelings, so might as well just get comfortable with them.
That's so true, isn't it?
I remember I was driving home at one point and I was gonna drink water, and I asked myself, well, why are you gonna drink it? Is it because you're thirsty, or is it because you're feeling anxiety? And I caught myself saying, because I'm feeling anxiety.
That's it.
And I was like,
yes.
Okay, then you're not getting any water. You can take as many notes as you want, but you actually have to go out there and practice it.
That's so true.
Healing is possible. But if I was able to do it, anyone can do it.
Hi everyone, today we have Amy here on the call. Amy's gonna tell us about her anxiety recovery journey, which started about, was it 5 months ago? I think around July at least, when you started the program. Can you tell us a bit about that, Amy?
I started the program around June or July. But my anxiety, I think, is spiraled out of control around February. So it's almost a year.
Wow, it's almost a year. Can you tell us a bit about, before starting the program, how did anxiety show up for you predominantly?
For me specifically, it was driving. So I was driving to the airport one day. My grandma has just passed away. And all of a sudden, my stomach was hurting. I wasn't feeling good. I thought I couldn't drive, so I let my brother drive. Discontinue. And one day I was like, okay, this is not normal. I love driving. And then more symptoms added in, ended up in the hospital twice because I thought I was dying. No, it turned out it was just anxiety.
So initially you got yourself checked out because you thought this is something way worse. I have to do some help. How did that make you feel though when they didn't find anything and they said it's anxiety? Was that a good thing for you? Was it helpful to feel that way? Were you like, well, what's next?
Yeah, a part of me was like, oh, okay, I'm healthy. But then another part of me was like, then what do I have? Why am I feeling all these symptoms? And that last time that I went to the doctors, that I heard it was anxiety, I've never dealt with it. So I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what I was facing, and more frustration.
What did anxiety take away from you back in February? What did it prevent you from doing?
So I have my own business that requires me to travel on the road a lot. And because I had this fear of driving, I couldn't drive. So I try to do most of it from home, but it wasn't really working out. So I had to get myself out there and just try to push through it, but it was very uncomfortable.
That makes sense. Did you have anything to try and help you push through it? Like some people, like myself, I used to bring lots of things with me. Like I know you heard about me sharing these stories in the program about bringing plastic bags and everything just to get through. Did you have any of those like coping mechanisms or safety behavior?
I did. I used to drink a lot of water while I was driving because it would make me feel better, but it didn't. It made it worse. I would have candy as well, but nothing helped. It seemed like everything that I did to make myself feel better made me feel worse, if that makes any sense.
No, it totally does. And I think a lot of people watching this can definitely relate because it's... often we try so many things and we expect some kind of result. At least we're like, digging in, we're doing stuff, we're trying to calm down, but somehow it's not working. But unfortunately, not often is it that it's so clear to us what we're doing wrong. What was the moment when you felt like something was like seriously wrong?
I think one day I was driving with my mom and I had all my coping mechanisms with me, and I just felt so sick. And I kind of told myself, maybe I just need a little more help because maybe the water just isn't working anymore. And I mean, it wasn't even working to begin with. And so that's when I started doing some research And then I found this like breathing technique that you can do at home. And I would do it every night, but it didn't work. I was fighting my anxiety. And I think a couple of nights later, I came across a video on Facebook that you posted. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's in my brain. That's how I feel.
I love that.
And I didn't have any doubts that it would work. I knew that it was exactly what I needed, so I just went for it.
Wow, that's awesome. What made you know that this is gonna work? Was there anything that you remember from the initial video that you were like, this is gonna work for me?
It's like you knew what I was feeling, and then you explained how I was in this loop and how I was making it worse by overthinking. And that's exactly what I was doing, and I was aware of that. And so I kind of told myself, I want to know more. And for me, that's how it started.
And before you even started this, were there any other things that you tried to do, like to kind of navigate your way through anxiety?
Yeah, so I changed my diet a little bit because I thought, okay, maybe I'm not eating healthy. Maybe that's affecting my whole system. But it helped a little bit, but it wasn't the solution. Mm-hmm. And besides that, I didn't really try much else because anxiety was new to me. So I didn't really know what to look for and what to do.
What frustrated you about these things?
I think the most frustrating part about the changes that I was making was that, online, it would say so much. Oh, it will help you with this. It will help you with that. And I would follow everything to the beat. And it wasn't working for me. So I was like, am I different? What am I doing wrong? And that part was very frustrating because, I have a kid who's 5 years old. He depends on me. I have my mom who I take care of. And I was like, I'm useless to them right now. I can't even help them because I don't even know how to help myself. And so that was very frustrating for me.
How did you getting stuck in this anxious state kind of affect your mother and your child? So
for the first couple of months, I would hide it. They had no clue that I was dealing with anxiety. And I was really good at hiding it. When I came out and spoke about it, they were like, you deal with anxiety? So for the first couple of months, it was just me suffering in silence. But I wasn't doing myself any favors doing that. I kind of learned throughout the journey that I can't heal in that same silence that I'm suffering. I have to speak up and be open about it.
That's beautiful. And that is actually something you did, at least in my program, because you were very active in the community and contributed a lot and shared lots of your own knowledge in your journey with others. And I think that was just a beautiful thing to see. So often me not seeing you in the community kind of made some bells ring where I was like, I need to check in with Amy. And I obviously saw your last final post after the 16 weeks where you shared your experience, which is beautiful.
I think for me in the community, I felt a little bit more comfortable because I kind of knew everyone around me was dealing with something very similar. In my family and my friends, I was afraid to speak up because I didn't know if any of them was dealing with it or even if they knew what it was. So, yeah, when it came to friends and family, it was just complete silence from me.
Yeah, and eventually when you opened up, how did they respond?
Yeah, the very first time that I spoke out about it, they took it very well because some of them were like, yeah, I deal with that as well. Teach me, what are you learning? And so awesome. For me, that was I felt good because at that point I was able to help someone else, even though I was still healing myself. So it felt great.
That's awesome. And so just to go back to the moment you found me, you found that initial video and you said like, this is going to work for me. I think that's like a beautiful mindset. Were you a little bit skeptical of it as well? Because obviously I realized, I'm a guy on the internet and the other part of the world, talking, and then there's obviously a program there that you can sign up for, and there's an investment attached to it, right? And there's obviously like lots of wrong information or even scams on like Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So were you a little bit skeptical of any of that or skeptical of the method before you started?
When I first got started, I believed in the program. Um, I think it was around week 2 or 3 where I was feeling super stuck. And I was like, all right, maybe this is not going to work. Maybe this was a mistake. But I kept pushing through. I still believed in the program, and I still believe every single word that you were teaching us. And I pushed through it. And although at the beginning, I was like, okay, maybe this is not the right fit for me.
Yeah, because that is an interesting thing. Because well done, by the way. Because even in week 3, you were already able to recognize yourself being in that loop. And some people watching this might not know what you're talking about. And I would say go watch the masterclass. I know you watched it before you started, and it's like you start to recognize that you're in a loop, and that means you're in a pattern, and that means you're doing something which you can stop doing. Right? If only it was that easy. But you know, and even in week 3, you were already able to catch yourself going back into that cycle, in that loop again, to where you can maybe make a change. But obviously, the frustration is there where you feel like you're making great progress, and then it's kind of either stagnates or you feel like you're going back, which is the recovery journey, as you obviously are well aware of. Do you remember what made you feel so good in the first 2 weeks?
What helped me make some progress during the first 2 weeks was understanding what was happening in my head. Just being able to see that I was taking one thought and then I was taking it to another phase, and just being able to understand myself was what helped me make that improvement.
What were some of the thoughts you had? Did you have like a dominant one?
What if I crash? What if I pass out? What if I can't make it back home and I'm so far away? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I get stuck in traffic? It was just so many things happening that for me, they were normal because, again, I love driving. I love doing road trips. And my mind just broke for a few months. And yeah, it was just me thinking that something bad was going to happen, but it wasn't.
How did your relationship change with those thoughts and with those feelings of panic? Because obviously I know about the recovery journey, and it's like it doesn't just by understanding, it doesn't just go away, right? It really helps to have the understanding, as you just said. You started to catch your symptoms and your thoughts. What were some of the things you did? What made you change your relationship with those thoughts? Because they are very scary, especially to lots of people have driving anxiety, especially when you're obviously driving a vehicle. Potentially there's kids in the back, potentially there's other people on the road. So it's like a whole kind of like high stakes situation, just like a work meeting where you have to do a presentation, right? What were some of the things that helped you kind of through that? Can you just share a little bit of your journey with the driving part?
Yeah, so for me, it started very slow and one step at a time. First, I would have a little talk with myself before leaving the house. Okay, if you feel this in the car, just know that it's anxiety. And so I knew already that if it showed up, I was dealing with anxiety. So I would call it out. And it did. It showed up a couple of times. And so I would take short drives, like going to the grocery store. So I would start with that. And the drive there was super uncomfortable. But coming back home, it felt like I wasn't even dealing with anxiety at the time. So for me, it was always going that was difficult, because coming back was super easy. For me in my journey, that was the first step, just accepting that if it showed up, it was anxiety. And then from there was just keep pushing through it, allowing it to be, which was a little difficult, because again, anxiety just doesn't go away. You just have to let it be and accept it for what it is. It is our feelings. But for me, that first step of knowing what anxiety was and being able to recognize it if it showed up was what made a difference throughout my journey.
Yes, well done. That is such a big change, such a big impact, because otherwise we get caught in the story, right? If we don't catch it for what it is, see it for what it is, we just go with that anxious story, especially when you're sensitized, right? You've had multiple experiences that are pretty bad. while driving with panic attacks. And obviously, like panic and everything and anxiety can make you feel like you're actually losing control, can make you feel like you're fainting. And, you know, maybe you pull over, I remember you would eventually only take the back roads, right, instead of the highway, because obviously there's lots of things going on, so triggers, right? If you have those experiences, it's gonna make you validate and believe more in that story that you're gonna crash if you get a panic attack, or that you have to pull over, or that stuck in traffic you cannot leave. And you being able to kind of distance yourself from that and see, oh, this is anxiety. That's where it starts, isn't it? That's where you can actually allow something, because you break the story, whereas the story is not something you're gonna allow. You're not gonna say like, oh, I'll just crash. You know, I'll just hit everyone on the highway, and I don't care, with my kids in the back. You know, my kid in the back. And that's not the truth. That's not what acceptance is. I remember you saying, instead of thinking I have anxiety, I became aware that I was simply feeling anxious. You mentioned that was a mental shift for you. How did that make you feel, to just kind of shift from being anxious, or at least, you know, having anxieties as something like you just have as an identity or whatever, to just saying, oh, I just simply feel anxious? How did that change make you feel?
Yeah, so I think for me, being able to separate, okay, I am not anxiety. Anxiety does not define me. That's not who I am. I'm just feeling a little nervous. I'm feeling a little anxious. Was very different, because who I am and how I'm feeling are two completely different people. And for me, that was a very important step, because I didn't want to be defined by anxiety. I was okay with saying I'm feeling anxious, but saying, oh, I am anxiety, I have anxiety, I just didn't feel comfortable. And so it took a lot of work, but I was eventually able to change that and make that shift between I'm feeling anxious and I have anxiety.
Yes, that's beautiful. And how did you, because you said, you know, accepting and allowing anxiety to be present, that is kind of hard to do, isn't it? That's just the skill we're learning in the program. How were you able to allow those symptoms to be, even though they were so scary and the driving and everything was such a high stake environment, place? Yeah,
so I started using whatever, but at one point that stopped working for me. So I started looking at it as a kid. You know, a kid, sometimes he's all sweet and calm, and then out of nowhere, he can create some chaos. And so I started seeing it like that. All right, you're gonna be in the back seat. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And you can come, you can stay, but I'm gonna keep living. And just looking at it that way, it helped me a lot, because I was able to put a picture on it, like, you know, the little monster.
Yes, and it's also distancing yourself from the anxiety, right? It's just something that you take with you, which isn't necessarily you, but isn't also not necessarily something you can control, like that child who's just gonna cry for your attention. That's spot on. And you also mentioned something interesting I found in one of your comments from a while ago, a couple months ago. You said you were trying, I don't know if you actually did this multiple times, but you said you were trying to resist it on purpose. Right, we just talked a little bit about, you know, allowing these symptoms to be, the kid in the backseat, the anxiety monster, like kind of, and you saying, okay, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to live my life. And there's obviously to this, you know, to the contrary of that is resistance, which is what we, even with taking bottles of water with us, we're kind of like resisting anxiety to be there because we're trying to influence it, right? Or taking backroads, just avoidance. How did that work for you? Did you can you tell us a bit about that, about how resistance on purpose and then allowing or acceptance on purpose, how that worked for you?
It's interesting because I still find myself doing that sometimes, and I think the only reason I do it is just to see how far I've come. And when I do it, I start using the 5 steps and everything that I've learned. And just being able to get myself out of it, it's like, all right, good job.
That's awesome.
So it's more of a let me see where I'm at in this journey.
I love that.
I think I just do it for fun at this point.
That's awesome. It's like you've been to the gym so many times. You're like so muscled in terms of the skill of responding, and sometimes you just want to check, are they still working? You know, you just want to lift the weight. Right?
Can I still lift 50 pounds?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. And what were some of the ups and downs during your recovery journey?
So I think around week, I want to say week 8 or 9, I felt like I had recovered. I felt amazing. I felt so good. And then out of nowhere, everything came back. And that was so disappointing for me. Because it took me a while to recover again and get myself back on track. It felt like 8 weeks were just down the drain, and I didn't know why that happened. But I kept pushing through the program, and I wanted to recover. So I continued watching the videos and applying everything, and eventually around week maybe 10 or 11, I fell back on track. But yeah, around week 8, it felt very uncomfortable, to the point where I was like, I came so far and now I have to start at the beginning. But you don't have to, because you already know all of this information. You just have to go back and reapply it. And that's what I did.
That is the power of the foundation that you set, because lots of people are asking like, can I not just quickly immediately go to the 5 steps and apply that and acceptance and everything? Or they're like, well, acceptance doesn't work. Well, it's because you're missing the foundation often, and you don't recognize all the patterns that you're in. And if you have that foundation, which is why we spent the first couple of weeks there instead of going to the good stuff straight away, it's like you can fall back on it when it gets a little bit tougher later. It's like you have those roots in the ground upon which you can build that big tree that can withhold those winds, right? And that's what you show. And this is actually very common around those weeks where people are like stagnating or like kind of anxiety hitting again, because the nervous system is just burning off adrenaline because it's healing. It's desensitizing, and suddenly you get some energy back because you're not resisting it. Whereas before, by you resisting, avoiding, taking back roads, taking water, fighting anxiety, doing all these things to get rid of it, the nervous system and your body was just kind of like tired. So it's just a little bit tired, and it's not be able to burn off all the adrenaline that's there. So it's going to store some adrenaline. But now when you were responding correctly, your nervous system desensitized, and suddenly it had the energy, and then you're like, what's going on? I think you mentioned something as well, that you fell back into safety seeking behavior maybe around that same time.
I found myself drinking that water again when I was driving, chewing on that candy. And I remember as I was doing those things that day, and throughout those days, I was like, wait a minute. This didn't work a couple of months ago. What makes me think that this is going to work now? It's not. And so I caught myself doing that. And I remember that I was driving home at one point, and I was going to drink water. And I asked myself, well, why are you going to drink it? Is it because you're thirsty, or is it because you're feeling anxiety? And I caught myself saying, because I'm feeling anxiety.
That's it.
And I was
yes.
like, yeah. And I was like, okay, then you're not getting any water. We can get home and you can drink water at home. And for 40 minutes, I was just like, I want water. And I was like, no, you're not getting water.
That's amazing. Well, that's epic. You really paid a lot of attention. You applied it. That's beautiful, because it's hard to do, because it's like, anxiety will convince you to get that water. But then if you ask yourself, if I didn't have anxiety, would I be drinking water now? And sometimes the answer is no. Then you mean it could be resistance. We're trying to influence what we feel. And where obviously there's nothing wrong with water. We need to drink it. It's healthy. But it's the distinction there with what is the intention. It's beautiful that you did it, because it's like showing yourself that you do this. We don't want to have anything attributed to the fact that you were fine. Like if you're driving, anxiety comes up, you drink water, then you're like, glad it went away. Glad I had the water. And then if you don't have the water, you're going to spiral, and then maybe something else happens. You pull over and you're like, glad I pulled over. Whereas in the end, by understanding, by using that foundation and applying those 5 steps and recognizing what safety behavior is, because that's resistance, right? You don't engage with it, and you on your own strength, get through those panic attacks, get through those moments. And that is like how you kind of build your successes, right? And how did you get back on the highway after avoiding it for a while? I know that was like your smallest goal. We set like 3 goals. The smaller one was, avoiding backroads, going back on the highways, and I think you also mentioned some tunnels that was like the biggest one. Can you share a bit of your journey with us there?
Yeah, so for me, one of my goals was to drive on them, even though I wanted to take the back roads. And so I set a goal one day that I had to go to the town that was about 10, 15 minutes from here. And I had two options. I could take the highway. That was the longer route for me that day. Or I could take the back road and it was shorter. And I wanted to put myself in the highway, so I kind of took the longer road. And it started with that, just driving to that town, coming back, driving there again a couple of days later. And then, okay, let me try to drive to the next one and see what happens. And to the next one. And just adding a step each time. And then eventually, now I just drive, and if it shows up, anxiety shows up. And if it doesn't, that's great.
Yes, that's amazing. Do you feel like, that'd be my next question, was like, do you feel like you're training to drive in those moments? Or do you feel like you're training your response to anxiety whenever it shows up, which is when driving?
For me, I was practicing my response just to see how I would cope with it.
Yes, exactly.
How I would be able to push through it. And eventually it just became second nature again.
That's it. But because sometimes we mistake the situation or the experience with the actual fear. Whereas so often with fear of driving, but also like crowded places or health concerns, it's the the symptoms we fear. It's the panic itself that we fear, the feeling of losing control that we fear, not the actual driving, because obviously you've driven before. You said you used to love it.
I would always remind myself, hey, Amy, you know how to drive. You've driven these roads for years now. You know them like the back of your hand. And building up that confidence before even getting inside my car and driving out of town helped me. But yeah, for me, it happened very naturally. I don't think there was a specific moment that led to that.
No, it's it, because that's obviously what we do when we actually apply those 5 steps. When like you just said, you practice the response. It's just like you can drive, and you've proven that to yourself many times. You eventually prove to yourself that you can handle anxiety many times, right? And you give yourself a pat on the back, as you just did, and you come back home and you're like, because this is the whole difference. And obviously you and I, now we talk about it as if it's like the most normal thing in the world. But often people are so occupied with having a experience that's pleasant, calm, joyful. But the recovery journey rarely is, right? Because you mentioned going to the grocery store, and then when you came back, you were feeling good, but on the way and everything, you felt pretty terrible, like uncomfortable. How is your relationship with anxiety now?
I just let it be, but now I accept it for what it is. It's just my feelings, but I don't let it stop me. Like, I'm going on vacation this week, and a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, man, it feels new to me, but yeah, I'm excited. Now I'm more nervous about the snow canceling my trip, not anxiety.
I love that. I love that. That is what it is. It's like, you have the response, the skill of responding is something you've built. Remember that muscle you have, you can lift the 50 pounds. And that's going to be applicable everywhere in every situation. Whereas you practice it in driving, which was your biggest use case, like that's what you wanted back. But now you can use it with anticipatory anxiety with everywhere, and you just start worrying about whether or not the trip's going to be canceled or not, versus where before you would worry about the panic or the symptoms hitting. And that is obviously how you recover. And how did you go about dealing with like the social element of anxiety, where you had to run a meeting with anxiety showing up at any time at once potentially?
Yeah, once I learned what anxiety was, I kind of realized that my whole life I've had anxiety. I just didn't know what it was. And for me, that was social anxiety. Whenever I had to do like presentations, whether it was college or work or just anywhere, I would get anxiety. But I didn't see it as anxiety back then. And something, throughout this healing journey, I found myself doing a lot of presentations and a lot of talking in front of people. So I've had the opportunity to build that confidence. And just yesterday, I did one for my church, and the day before, I was just like, maybe I should cancel because I was feeling so nervous. But I did the future film technique,
Yes.
and I played everything out as I thought it was going to happen. And believe it or not, I didn't feel anxiety. I felt normal, relaxed, and it went pretty
Wow.
well.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's so great that you're still using this because this is like a lifestyle thing, isn't it? To just be able to deal with your emotions and your thoughts,
hmm
which we weren't able before. It's just a lifestyle change where before we would spiral, and go engage in unproductive thinking, like what if this, what if that, what if this, which is all like most of it's unlikely that it's ever going to happen. So why worry about it? And you practice these things now. It's like your inner kind of skill, and you even did the future film technique to kind of prep you for it, and it's proven to be working. So you kind of push through a lot of. Would you say it's like it's growing your comfort zone as well now? Now you have more confidence. Now you can deal with your emotions better. You're doing more things versus before. You would say.
I'm definitely more comfortable with my feelings. I wasn't before all of this began. I wouldn't show my feelings, but now I just let my feelings come out and let them express themselves. It's just what makes us human,
Yes.
and we can't really get rid of our feelings, so might as well just get comfortable with them.
That's so true, isn't it? The more we wish to get rid of it, obviously, the more they kind of stick. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you just want to feel good, don't you? Like you don't want to have sadness, anger, or fear. But sometimes that's just the case. So might as well be a little bit more comfortable with it, so we can increase your tolerance to it, so you can allow it to pass more quickly instead of becoming a problem, right? What would you say is life now for you compared to beginning of this year, compared to February? How is life different for you today?
Oh, it's very different. I'm more confident. I know what anxiety is, and I'm able to educate others as well. I'm okay with stepping outside of my comfort zone for as long as is necessary and feel comfortable doing that. But yeah, I'm just happy, I'm confident now, and I'm just grateful that I found this program. It helped me a lot.
That's beautiful. And what would you say? What can you do now that felt totally impossible a few months ago?
Probably stand in a room packed with people and just speak without feeling so nervous. If you would have asked me to do that at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, you're crazy, I'm not doing that. But today it's just, all right, let's do it.
It's amazing. What is the biggest change there that allows you now to step in front of a group and just say, let's do it, whereas before maybe all those what ifs would come up?
I think thinking about my son and helping him build confidence as well, just being able to give him a good example. I think that's what has pushed me through everything that I've done so far.
That's awesome. And how do you feel about the future now? Like 26 is coming up, obviously. How would you feel about that? Do you feel about the future?
So I used to be very scared about the future, especially when anxiety was out of control. But now I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for everything that I've been planning on doing and just looking forward to it.
Did anyone else notice the change you made, the transformation you made in your environment?
My family did. They saw a confidence go up, and they saw how I went from chaos to being calm and peaceful and just letting things be.
If someone's watching this who may be afraid of driving, maybe having lots of social anxiety or any other type of form, and feeling very hopeless, what would you tell that person?
Um, they're not alone. There's somebody else out there. Maybe the driver next to you is feeling the same way. Just keep pushing through. You're almost there, and there is help available. As long as you apply what you learn in whatever program they choose to to join, healing is possible.
Yes, and why do you feel it's possible for other people as well besides yourself?
Well, when I started, I thought, well, maybe I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life. But if I was able to do it, Anyone can do it as long as they put in the time and they show up. And you have to apply everything that you're learning. You have to educate yourself on anxiety. That one is very important. But healing is possible. You just have to believe it.
Yes. And what would you say to the people who believe they are like a special case, that it doesn't work for them?
Taking notes is great, but applying those notes that you're taking is very different. You can take as many notes as you want, but you actually have to go out there and practice it.
That is the truth right there, because it's one side, yes, definitely understanding knowledge is very important, but only if you, on top of that foundation, build something where you actually have to build your own proof and go and practice this and actually apply it, because there's lots of people are unfortunately kind of stuck in this research mode where they use the right information, like acceptance and everything, and they understand everything about anxiety, and then fail to apply it, because that's where it gets scary, right? That's where you actually like have uncomfortable moments driving to the grocery store and like all this anticipatory anxiety. Will I cancel it? Will I do it? Will I go on? You know, that's obviously the toughest part.
I think that when we find something that is working, we want it to work overnight and we want to heal immediately. But that's not how healing works. It takes time. Even today, almost a year since I first experienced my anxiety, I'm still healing. I'm still a work in progress, but compared to where I was back in May or June to where I am today, there's a big difference between those two people.
Did you feel supported going through this? Because obviously, like, applying it is the most difficult thing. It's the scariest thing. Did you feel supported in the group, in the community, and through the program to be able to make those steps?
I did. So for me, I used the community a lot. For me, I feel like it helped me heal as well. But the support in that community was amazing. Just knowing that I wasn't alone, that there was someone else out there feeling how I was feeling, felt special, because when you start the journey, it feels very lonely. And having a community that shows up every day to support you helps in this journey. So I felt the support every single day.
You're always welcome to come back, because you still are an inspiration now today as well, for sharing your story with the world. You're an inspiration. You've helped a lot of people on that journey. So you're always welcome to come back and pitch in your amazing knowledge. Thank you so much, Amy, for today. Do you have any? Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
To everyone that's listening, keep pushing through. If healing was possible for me, it's possible for you as well. You're not alone. There's people out there willing and ready to help you. Just jump in and ride the wave.
I love that. That's a really epic ending of this conversation. Thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate you, and maybe I'll see you back in the community. But you're doing amazing, and you've had such a journey this year. And now the rest of your life is waiting. And enjoy your trip coming up this week. And I really appreciate you taking the time today to share this with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and thank you for the program.